Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie. I am the Introverted Reader, and today, you probably see by the title, I'm very excited about this. But I read my very first Emily Henry book, and actually, not only that, but this is going to be the start in a 3-part little series that I'm going to be doing. I randomly picked 3 popular romance authors that have been floating about on here and, on the social media book spaces. And I picked, Emily Henry was the first one. I'm not going to give away the other 2 because the other 2 are a surprise. And I haven't gotten around to getting the other 2 books yet. But I read my first Emily Henry. Yay! Because she's been floating about on here for a bit now. And honestly, I have read some contemporary romances in, past 2 years and stuff, and I have enjoyed them. I've enjoyed them a whole lot. But anyway, like I said, I'd seen Emily Henry floating about, and I thought to myself, do I want to read them? Do I? Humming and hawing, and then one day, I got Book Lovers on my Kindle, and I was just like, do you know what? Let's just dive right in and do it. So, let's get into it, shall we? So basically, I'm sure those of you that are romance girlies or boys, we don't judge in this house, or boys or theys or whatever you are, you know this book, okay? You know, even if you haven't read it, you know this book. But in all, let me just, a brief little synopsis here. I have notes. I took notes, okay? Look, there's these and there's all this. I highlighted things. And yes, I have notes. I'm taking this very, very serious. So, Book Lovers by Emily Henry. So, it's set in New York, and we are following our girl, Nora, who, she is a literary agent, and she is very, very dedicated to her job. She's seen as, cold-hearted because she doesn't do much else besides work. She's a bit of a workaholic. And the very beginning of the book, the first little chapter part in the very beginning, she gets dumped by this man that she's seeing over the phone. She's on the phone with him, and she's actually dashing to a work lunch that she's late for. And see, the thing, she's getting dumped by this man over the phone, but at the same time, all she can really think about is, I'm late for this lunch, I'm late for this lunch. And, she gets the lunch and whatever, and then we skip ahead 2 years after the events of that. Hold on. Oh, she gets dumped by her boyfriend. And 2 years later, I had to look at my notes there to keep myself right. She's chatting to her sister, and her sister are best friends. Her and her sister have been through a lot together. They didn't really know their dad. They were raised by a single mother, and, their mother was very important to them, and their mom died. And, they kind of been on their own ever since. And Nora, as the older sister, kind of took it upon herself to, help get them back on their feet. So anyway, her sister kind of persuades her to go on a trip with her. Not that she needs a lot of persuasion, because like I said, Nora is very dedicated to her job, and her and her sister both share a love of books, hence the title of this book, Book Lovers. Books play a big part in this, because obviously, like I said, Nora is a literary agent, and she works with this author who wrote her and her sister's favorite book, and her sister persuades her to go on a trip to the small town where their favorite author's book is set. And at first she's like, oh no, really, a small town? You want to get out of New York? And this, if you live in New York, you might appreciate this, or you might not, because this book talks about New York as if it's the greatest city on earth. I've never personally been myself, but I guess if any New Yorkers are watching, you're either being like, ew, no it's not, or yes it is, but whatever. So anyway, and because her sister is just maybe if we go there, you could have your cute little meet cute moment. And Nora's like, girl, that only exists in books and in Hallmark movies. That doesn't actually happen in real life. She's very cynical, even though she does read a lot of books, about romance and love and stuff. She is very, very cynical. She's like, stuff like that only exists in books. It doesn't exist in real life. She's very, very about that. But, you know, her sister's about to have her third child. You know, she's about 5 months pregnant at this point, and she's just like, you know what? I'll go for my sister. You know, we'll go, we'll have fun, I'll do whatever. So yeah, and they get to this small town, and actually, I have a quote highlighted here. I only just started reading the book. I was maybe 7% into it, and because it's the very start of the book when her boyfriend is dumping her, and he calls her, like, it's like, he says something along the lines of like, I'm worried as to whether or not you actually have feelings. And this quote, that's the thing about women. There's no good way to be one. Wear your emotions on your sleeve and you're hysterical. Keep them tucked away where your boyfriend doesn't have to tend to them and you're a heartless bitch. The way I felt that with my whole soul, the way I felt that, I was like, yes, Emily Henry, you are preaching to the choir. Like Pastor Emily Henry bought a word. Yes, I was just, yeah. So, okay. So I'm kind of gonna go into spoilers now. I feel like that's as much as I can tell you about the synopsis without really spoiling it for you. So if you do not wish to be spoiled for book lovers, if book lovers sounds like something that you would enjoy and you don't want to be spoiled for it, I don't mind if you want to X out this video and go get it and read it and come back. Or if you haven't read it and you don't care, feel free to stick around. Or if you do want to read it but you don't care about spoilers, then whatever, it's fine. So anyway, I'm giving you a warning. Are all the ones that actually care about the spoilers away? Are they gone? Yeah, I think they're away. All right. So, this book, you guys. So, first thing I want to talk about is Nora as a character. At first, I wasn't too sure what to make of her. She's 32 years old. She's the same age as me. And, you know, this whole thing about her, like, not really fully believing in, like, true love, I guess. Like, you read all these things in books. We see all these things in movies. And it's just like, ain't no way that's real. Ain't no way that's real. And then enter the love interest, Charlie. Now, we actually meet Charlie at the very beginning of the book. He is the one that she's late to go to the lunch for. And they have an interesting relationship in the beginning. There's a lot of banter going back and forth. And, you know, that there is the little spark. And then whenever she gets to the small town that her sister persuades her to go to, finds out he not only, like, she walks into this coffee shop. And she walks into this coffee shop and there he is. And it turns out that he's not just there for a visit. He's from there. Like, his mom and dad live there. You know, his family business is there, you know, like that's where he lives. It's where he grew up. And, you know, he kind of has his own stuff going on. You know, his father's business isn't doing too well. His family actually own a bookstore, which, wow. Like, honestly, my whole experience reading this book did kind of remind me of those overly cheesy movies that are set in small towns. But, like, the only times I've ever watched a movie like that are, like, the Christmas ones. You know, like those Netflix Christmas movies, you know, that are all, like, come to... What's the name of the town? I think Sunshine Falls? Is that what it's called? Anyway. But, you know, like, if this was set at Christmas time... Could you imagine? Imagine. It's not, but could you imagine? Anyway, so he actually works at the publishing house that Nora really wants to work with, because obviously her favorite author's published a new book and she's like, please, almighty publisher, publish my favorite author's book, please, 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 it would mean a lot. But he's very like, no, he's like, your author's book is completely unreadable, like, get out of my face. And and then whenever they see each other in the small town, there's no real way that they can avoid each other because they live in a small town. And then I've written here, I enjoy the banter between them both and the chemistry is well done. And, like, the closer and closer they get, the more Nora kind of tries to push him. They kind of try to push each other away because they both have their own issues, you know, when it comes to relationships and being in love, because they've both been heartbroken before. Like, Nora, her very last boyfriend that she was with, she actually moved out and went to go and live with him. But then it was around the time when her mom died and she wasn't there for her sister because her mom was rushed to the hospital. She died in the hospital. and she wasn't there for her sister at that time because her sister kept trying to call her and her phone was dead. And yeah, and then she felt bad. But like, if I'm being honest, my whole experience reading this, yes, it is. Yes, there is the romance. And yes, it's primarily about Nora, you know, letting go of her heartache and realizing, you know, more to life than just work, you know, more to life than just this, more to life than, you know, ticking every box on your checklist, you know. She's just like, you know, it's more, there is the romance. But if I'm being honest, I would say this is more a story, not just about her finding love, but her finding herself and growing closer with her sister, because after her mom died, you know, I've written here, it's a beautiful story about family, trauma of losing a loved one, and then having the burden of being like the caregiver of the family whenever said loved one passes away, because their mom was the caregiver. Obviously, she was the one, I mean, she was a struggling actress, you know, but like she was the one that would, you know, go out and work and do all that and whatever. And then whenever she passed away, Nora kind of put her own life on hold to take care of her sister and make sure that her sister was okay. Because Nora is of the attitude where, like, if everyone else is okay, doesn't matter about me, I'm totally fine, you know? And like, and Charlie and Nora as a couple are great, but if I'm being honest, my one little thing with this is that I felt like I didn't really know him well enough, because he would pop up every now and then. They'd have a little bit of banter, but then something would come up and then Nora would go about and doing something else, or her and her sister would be sitting having a heart to heart. I would say it's more about her relationship with herself and her relationship with her sister. And honestly, I thought it was really, really well done. And although, again, my one little caveat with it is that I felt like I didn't really know Charlie well enough. But overall, I absolutely adored this. I thought it was great. I thought it was really well written. It had me giggling and kicking my feet. I love the relationship between Nora and her sister, because I have 2 sisters myself. You know, I love stories about sisters. I do. That hits me where I live. I'm sorry that I'm a bit rambly in this video. I kind of a little bit all over the place, but reading my first Emily Henry was certainly an experience. And if there's any others of her books that you think that I should read, then by all means, recommend any of them in the comments. I know a lot of them are floating about, but anyway, I don't know when part 2 of this little series is going to come out, because I need to decide which romance author I'm going to read next. And if you have recommendations for other romance authors that I should be checking out, let me know in the comments as well. Down below in the description are all my socials, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Feel free to follow me and all there. I have important videos on my TikTok concerning Palestine and the Congo, so please interact with them as much as you can. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Leave a like, subscribe, do all the things, and I'll see you later. Bye!